Cheers all, season's greetings, and welcome back to the Twain Table for a little bit of plank talk. So today's subject is going to be just a little hint of the great titans of the telly. And first up at bat is the great Jimmy Bryant. I'd like to inform you about this very, very fascinating read on the life and times of Mr. Jimmy Bryant. Fastest guitar in country, a true master of the Telecaster. He was probably one of the earliest guys to receive Leo's great gift to us all. And this book was penned by, I believe, his sister, Lorraine Bryant Epps, ep.6. And it's another something that you really, really need to have in your library. It is so worth hunting down and searching. It's just a captivating read. So you don't want to miss out on Jimmy Bryant, fastest guitar in the country. And a great compilation CD, there are several, is with his partner Speedy West and Jimmy Bryant, and it's called The Stratosphere Boogie. The Flaming Guitars of Speedy West and Jimmy Bryant. And once again, that's something for your treasure trove and library. I'll go on to the next character, and that is, of course, the great, great, great Roy Buchanan. This book was penned by Phil Carson, C-A-R-S-O-N. The title is American Acts. It's a product of the Backbeat Books, the Music Players Network. You can probably still find copies of this used on the internet. Highly suggest reading. Fantastic. And I got to meet Roy one time, and that was such a privilege and an honor, and got to hang out with him for about 4 hours after a gig. So that was very, very, very interesting, to say the least. So Roy, of course, entered the picture way back. A lot of people became familiar with him in the early 70s when the PBS television show did a big expose documentary on the greatest unknown guitar player in the world, or something to that effect, the title was, which I did see at the time. And you can still watch it these days. I'm sure it's on YouTube. And there's a few other documentaries on the life and times of Roy Buchanan on there that are worth pursuing. So this is technically his second album, but most people know it as his first album. And it's a great piece of vinyl with a really cool cover art on there, if you like black and white, and I like this cover art. And the other records he did are worth, getting, and all of that. The one that was on Atlantic Records has a wonderful cover. And this record, interestingly enough, was produced by the great jazz rock bass player Stanley Clarke. Kind of a very interesting pairing. And there's a lot of fantastic guest musicians on this record. Steve Cropper is on it, Will Lee on the bass, Stanley Clarke. A lot of luminary players. Even Narda Michael Walden is on it. I think this record here, they really tried to put him to the forefront, producing it and putting money into it. It's called Roy Buchanan Loading Zone on Atlantic Records. There's some bits on there that are absolutely worth hearing, as there always is on a Roy Buchanan recording. There's always something, some kind of telly tricks, some kind of telly trouble that he can dish out, so it's always fascinating. And this other record of Roy's is called That's What I'm Here For. It's got some very, very nice moments also documented on this recording right here. So those are three early Roy vinyl pieces that are absolutely worth mentioning. I'll go into one of my favorite blues artists, the great, great, great Albert Collins. Man, oh man. Albert Collins, Jesus. So here, you have many choices, but this one here, Albert Collins Frostbite. Check that one out. The other Albert Collins is called Cold Snap. Wonderful record. And then this one here he did with Robert Cray and Johnny Copeland. It's called Showdown. And you gotta sample some Albert Collins. Absolutely. Now, another friend and close associate of the great Roy Buchanan is, of course, the great, 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 great Danny Gatton. I got to have the pleasure 5 times of hearing Danny play close up in small nightclubs. I got to hang with him for maybe 15 or 20 minutes. I got his autograph, I got a guitar pick, so I guess that makes me a fanboy, and I'm very proud to say I am a fanboy of Danny Gatton. I have most of everything that he released that I'm familiar with, although one important record that I don't have and still searching for, I've not been able to locate it, is called Tooling Around. I believe he did it with Arlen Roth. It's on vinyl for sure, and I don't have it. But I do have an unplayed version of Unfinished Business. And more intriguing, I actually found the cassette before I found the vinyl. So I've got it on cassette, and I've got it unplayed virtually on vinyl. And he does a wonderful version of Cherokee on here, Melancholy Serenade, Sky King, Sleepwalk, one of my favorites, and I'm sure one of your favorites as well, everybody's favorite. And homage to Charlie Christian. This is so cool. This is such a great recording. This has to be in everybody's library that is interested seriously in the Telecaster. It's the great book of the same title, Unfinished Business, The Life and Times of Danny Gatton. Once again, a great Backbeat Books product, the Music Player Network. I'm sure you can find yourself a copy of this still on the internet. And I don't know how to pronounce the gentleman's name that wrote this book. Ralph, Heibutzki. This book is absolutely captivating and compelling. You gotta read this book. You just have to. It's just so laid out, really great, and there's a lot of information to learn about Danny in this book. This is something that I came across years later. I was aware of it, and it just happened to be in a store, a record store. This DVD called Blazing Telecaster with another close associate friend of his, Tom Principato, if I'm saying that right. I believe he was kind of a blues guy playing always telly out of perhaps maybe New Jersey or Philly, somewhere down that way. He's got a lot of recordings out, but this DVD, they do about 45 minutes playing together with Danny's band at the time, and it's really worth seeing if you can get a copy of this, seeing him in that setting. And of course, most of you must have remembered when Danny first appeared on the Guitar Player magazine back in March of 1989. They did a massive cover story on him, and I probably would never sell this copy ever, I don't think. I have, oh God, I must have over 200 magazines with various people who are the demons of the Telecaster in my collection. And I'm sure a lot of you do too. Moving forward a little bit, really quickly, for people who want to pick up a lot of information and detailed information about the Fender Telecaster and its history, the Ultimate Fender Book. It includes a DVD. I haven't seen this around too much. I got it at a Barnes & Noble, oddly enough, for $14 on sale. It was normally, I think, about $30. A much better informative read, though, is The Fender Telecaster, a detailed story of America's senior solid body electric guitar by A.R. DeKoshor, D-U-C-H-O-S-S-O-I-R, with a special foreword by the great James Burton and Albert Lee, two other great tidings, to say the least. Another wonderful book with great pictures and lots of information, put out by a guy who is so knowledgeable, Mr. Tony Bacon. And this book is called 6 Decades of the Fender Telecaster. Absolutely a fabulous piece for your library, and filled with great informative information about the history of the Telecaster throughout the decades. And of course, Dave Hunter's books are just totally incredible. The forward and after is done by Wilco Johnson and Red Vokart. And it's simply called The Fender Telecaster, The Life and Times of an Electric Guitar That Changed the World, and it certainly did. And that's by the great Dave Hunter. You got to check that out. And it's one of the ones to absolutely buy. You know, I kind of went overboard on things, as I always do, and you know, I probably have 10 dedicated books on the Telecaster, but there's always something in all of these that is a little different and a little unique and interesting. This book here is more of a handbook guide. It's great. The foreword is by Andy Summers, who, as you all know, played a great Sunburst Telly. It's put out by Paul Ballmer, B-A-L-M-E-R. It's the Fender Telecaster Handbook, how to buy, maintain, set up, troubleshoot, and modify your Telly. So this has its own sort of unique riffs going on with the Telecaster. So there's that. And I'll probably go a little tad bit further here. I know this, for some of you, is not what your specific interest happened to be, but anyhow, since I'm going down that pathway, I wanted to bring up one of my favorite local, so to speak, Telecaster players from the Boston area. He's been around for years and years and years. I got to see him so many times. It's the great Duke Levine, and he's got many CDs out. You can look him up. There's a great long interview with him on Zach Child's Just Ask Zach show on the internet, and he has many fabulous people on that show. So Duke Levine is a true wonderful Telly master. Another one from West Hurley, New York, guy that I'm quite familiar with and got to hang with, Mr. Jim Weeder. Jim replaced, or he came in after Robbie Robertson left the band, so he played with them for 10, 12 years. He's got a group now. From time to time they tour with G.E. Smith and various guests, kind of a trio of Telecaster players worth seeing. He also plays in a band, tribute band, The Band, and you can catch him in that scenario from time to time. A guy who doesn't get talked about very much or enough, but I'm sure he's talked about a lot in some circles, is the great Scotty Anderson. He's got a CD called Triple Threat. This one I'm holding here is called Live at the Capitol, Scotty Anderson, Working Without a Net. There's some lesson videos out there, some great interviews with him. and he's not to be missed. He's a monster player. He's got a lot of jazz, serious jazz chops, as well as double stopping and triple stopping and pedal stealing and bluesing and the whole bit. So Scotty Anderson is a force not to be missed. And then lastly but not least is a interesting read, The Science of Human Obsession. This is your brain on music. This book is something that you can read a few pages at a time, and it won't be for everybody, but it could be for some of us out there. And I implore you to try to find yourself a copy if you want to get down really deep into it all. It's put out by Daniel J. Levitin, Levitin. This is your brain on music, The Science of Human Obsession. How about that one? So, it's been another enjoyable time to share with you some of the things that I have picked up along the way. I hope it has caused some sort of interest or insight with some of the newer players joining in that may certainly be familiar with some of the highlights of these titans of Tele that I've been talking about. And some of you who are not as privy to some of this stuff, I'm hoping that this channel, the Twain Table, is going to be a educational and serving tool to help assist you in your vast journey in telecasting. So once again, I say season greetings to all. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you so much.